Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm here to share my story through ceramics. After high school, I was experiencing some health issues where doctors couldn't figure out what was going on and what was wrong with my health. But I just struggled. I struggled with breathing and eating, and I developed some strange lumps on my bodies that we couldn't really figure out. And so during that time, it was my weakest point, but I would say it was actually the point where I experienced the most. I was closest to God, and I was able to learn so much through my lowest. Despite having health issues, I still wanted to create and pursue art, and so I felt a lot of pressure, and there was so many societal expectations to not do that, to not follow the path of creativity, because it was expected to always be smart and studious and study, but not to actually take your hobbies into a career. So I just felt so ashamed that I wanted to pursue art, and it was a battle because genuinely, I loved seeing creation, nature, and things around me, but it felt like a battle to choose that. So in the end, I decided I wanted to do it, and I fought the thoughts of not being good enough, that I was starting too late, and because I was starting in grade 12, that I wouldn't be able to go into an art school. But I decided to trust and take the step. And so step by step, God kept opening doors for me, and I was able to walk through the path that He created. And so through that, I was able to pursue art professionally. I was accepted into a prestigious art school in the city, and I was so excited to attend. And I realized when I got there that I didn't fit in. People were very different, and I tried to be myself, but at the same time, there was an expectation that you needed to be selfish as an artist. And I didn't really understand that at that point, but what I realized was that people would often come up to me and ask me about a technique that I learned or a tool that I had, and they would actually use those things that I would teach them and implement it into their own projects, almost identical. At that point, it felt as if they stole something from me, but I realized that is okay, and I kept sharing. Even my friends would tell me, "Why are you sharing so much knowledge with them? Why are you helping them with their projects when really you should be working on your own things and keeping the things to yourself?" But I continued doing so, and I really enjoyed that I could teach others how to do things. So I would get called out so often about about me helping others, but I continued to do so. I really struggled to understand why God let me into this school, because it was uncomfortable and tense. So what I continued doing was to spread love and joy, and most importantly, comfort. It seemed like a lot of people were uncomfortable with who they were and what they were making. So a way that I found was really helpful was to actually bring food into the studios, to lighten up the mood and to be able to connect with others in a way that is very different from art. So I would bring bags of day-old donuts to the studios. They were cheaper, so students could afford them. And I was able to connect with other students in a different way just because we had food. And I thought that was such a meaningful moment for me, realizing that I could actually connect with my classmates. As I experienced the tension and uncomfortableness of school, I realized that food was really the way to break this uncomfortable tension. And I actually thought of a way through tofu pudding to connect with others and provide comfort and this sense of home to them. So I was able to connect mold making with tofu pudding through the main ingredient, gypsum. I created these ceramic bowls that represented a beautiful marbling, morphing of cultures blending together, and I created tofu pudding as well using gypsum and served it with those bowls. Through that, I wanted to share this love of food that I had with a combination of art to provide comfort to the students in my school. And no matter if you liked food or not, that this act is an act to share, to be comfortable with people, and to connect with others that you may not have probably talked to before. And I noticed that it was a really good project because I got to meet so many people through this project, because others probably wouldn't have came if they didn't smell. I realized if Jesus' ministry is through food, why can't I do it as well? He always feasted with others, he celebrated, he cried with people, and often it was with food. And I realized to remember these moments and to really be able to connect with others, why can't I use food as well? After I graduated art school, I was able to get a job as an art educator at a cultural center, and I really loved it. I started working with children and teaching them how to create art, but at the same time I felt like a sellout because my fellow graduates were not able to find jobs. They were picking up small part-time jobs and felt like they took pride in being able to say that they are suffering, that as an artist you must suffer. And I felt ashamed that I could proudly say that I could financially support myself. But as I continued working, I realized I really loved my job. I love teaching, I love sharing my knowledge and showing others how they can do it too. So soon after, I got over it, and I realized how huge a blessing this was for me. My experiences of insecurities and doubts have helped me to empathize with others who struggle to express themselves. And I'm often reminded of Genesis 1 and the creation story, because God is my creator and I know He has designed me in His image. This image is continually shifting, and I'm always learning and continually seeing how I am. And I may be going through difficulties of doubts and uncertainty about my identity as an artist. And this season might be a cold and harsh winter, but I'm continually trying to trust in Him, because I know spring is close by and I can completely just rest because I know He is there for me and He is on my side.